Good evening, everybody, and here we are, live once again. Tonight, I'm talking about bluegills. I know I said I was going to talk about Lake of the Woods, but I was up in Cab. Storm started rolling in. I bailed out of there, headed back over to East Grand Forks, and then I headed over towards Bemidji-Bagley area, and I've been fishing lakes around there, kind of hiding from the storms. I am headed up to Lake of the Woods tomorrow, so I'll have a full report for you next week on Lake of the Woods. But tonight we're talking about bluegills, specifically big bluegills. I shot a video. I'm going to show you that video. It kind of explains the whole thing. But before I do that, since I'm heading to Lake of the Woods, I'm going to give something away tonight. What I'm giving away tonight is, since I'm heading there to Arneson's Rocky Point, I am giving away 2 nights lodging and 1 day of ice fishing for 2 guys at Arneson's Rocky Point Resort. All you got to do to win this is during this live, at the end of the live, I'll cut it off. During the live, you need to comment, and we will pick somebody out of these comments at the end of this live, and you will win that fishing trip live on the air. Like I said, 2 nights, 1 day fishing for 2 guys, Arneson's Rocky Point, up at Lake of the Woods. Amazing operation. You're going to love it. And I'm going to do something else, too. For the people that don't get to watch this live or that are busy right now, I'm going to give away a couple just day house rentals. So I'll probably give those away. Let's just say I'll give those away Monday morning. So basically from now until Monday morning, throw your comments down there. Monday morning I'll pick somebody and I'll give away a couple day house rentals at Arneson's too for all those people that watch after the live is over. But like I said, first of all, I will be giving something away live on the air. So throw your comments on there. 1 guy out of the comments, 2 guys out of the comments actually. I'll pick 1 guy and he will get, it's for 2 people is what the package is. So you will be going to Arneson's Rocky Point if you comment on this and I pick your name at the end of it. So that being said, back to the bluegills. Basically what we did was we were on some smaller lakes fishing some holes, and here is a video I'm going to play right now kind of explaining the whole thing. Check it out, and then when I'm done we'll talk about it. There we go, wait for him to get in his mouth. There we go. It's like another decent gill. So let's talk about the spot I'm fishing. Basically, all it is a hole. And you know, these holes you fish, you know, early winter, mid-winter, they don't have to be 20, 30, 40 feet deep. This hole we are fishing in right now, it's another nice gill. We are fishing in right now is only 10 feet deep. And basically what's happening is these big gills are just cruising through here, and they are down there. I'm gonna drop this down while we're talking. They're down here just cruising these holes, looking for food all day long. Today is a little bit of an exception because of the storm coming in. The bite's gonna be pretty consistent all day just because of the weather change. So that's why we're out here. But you know, before dark, another gorgeous gill. He is gonna go back for sure, way too big. But generally, you know, your best bite is gonna be, you know, 3 o'clock on. When it starts to get dark, that's when these fish are gonna start to feed. So when I generally come out pan fishing, you know, a lot of times I won't start till noon or 1 o'clock, and I'll just fish the afternoon because that's generally the best time to fish these holes. And this hole we're on right now, you know, it's surrounded by a lot of shallow, weedy stuff. There's a lot of 2 to 5 foot stuff all around here, and they're cruising in and out of that into this hole looking for food. And this is just a great technique. And it's so cold out today. We're just camping out here, and the schools just keep on coming through, and we keep on picking up nice gills like that. All right, he's staring at it. Watch how subtle this is gonna be. There, he's on it, he's on it. Got him right there. See how that's super subtle. Whew. What do we got here? Monster gill. Oh, unbelievable. Wait till you see this thing. Look at this toad. Oh, that's a big gill. So basically what's going on here, big storm front coming in. As soon as I saw this storm front coming in, what do we got here now? Oh, here's another big gill biting on it. This is a quiver spoon on this one, a tungsten toad on this one. So this is what happens before these big storms, is these panfish just light up. Whenever I get the chance to come out before a system's rolling in and do a little bit of fishing, and it's middle of the day too. These things shouldn't be biting like this middle of the day, and they are. Yeah, I got another one down there looking at the quiver spoon. Right now they're chomping the tungsten toad. I got a couple waxies on there. Oh, there he hit it. I wasn't paying attention. Unbelievable. So anyway, that's a 10-inch kill all day. That might even be an 11-inch kill. I am going to get him on the board in 1 second here and get him back in the water as soon as I'm just going to let that be. I'm gonna measure this real quick. We're gonna see how big it is. Yeah, that's 11.5-inch gill right there. I'm actually gonna get some pictures of this guy. There he is, got him. Not real big. Let him go, another little guy. Get right back down there because there is a bigger fish down there if I can get down to him in time. Another advantage of this tungsten is it just rockets down there. We're only fishing 10 feet, so it's not super far, but a second, I'm gonna be super subtle. Just get him to chase it. There, he's on it. Now I'm gonna let him eat it. You'll see my rod tip will just kind of be tick tick, and I'm gonna, there he hit it. No weight yet though. Oh, there, he's eating it. See now he, oh, dropped it again. I'll let him eat it again. He's trying to pluck it off there is what he's doing. He's got a buddy. There. See now he's got it in his mouth right there, and then you get him. So basically they come up to it and they gotta test it first, and then they put it all the way in their mouth, and that is not a bad gill at all. So it's not always about setting that hook right away. As you can see right there, I let him kind of choke up on that waxworm a little bit, and that's how you seal the deal. Let him go. All right, there we go. That was the video. Official measurement on that bluegill when I didn't have bluegill fever was 11 3/8 is what I measured that bluegill out. That's the official one on that. I know the ruler, I didn't have it sitting on the right. You can see it in the video. But anyways, one of the most important things, if you fish with a lot of guys that fish gills, you're gonna notice the whole setting the hook deal. And actually the guy I was fishing with learned this real quick too while we were out there. You can see in that video that this specific day, we were letting these bluegills come in and hit it, and then they would kind of choke up on it a little bit, then we would set the hook. And the sensitivity is super important when you're fishing these gills. You know, the bite's gonna be different every day, so you kind of gotta, when you get out there, you gotta figure out what's going on. And this specific day, you needed to let them eat it a little bit before you set the hook, because if you set the hook right away, it was just popping out of their mouth and we weren't catching them. That being said, bait of choice, tungsten toad. This tungsten toad here comes in 3 different sizes. You got 10, 12, and 14. Cool thing about that is nice big hook size. You can fish crappie minnows on it. You can fish minnow heads on it. You can fish wax worms on it. You can fish spikes on it, and you can thread all kinds of different Bobby Garland plastics on it. It's a great versatile bait, and as you can see, it catches monster bluegills. And once again, of course, once we got out there, I was reading these bluegills based on my electronics and deciding, because you can see in that video, I also did have a quiver spoon down also, but they were biting on the tungsten toad that day. And the reason for that was they were just a little bit lethargic is what was going on. They weren't just coming in and smacking it. They were just a little hesitant, and they liked that smaller presentation. Let's go on. I want to talk about the rod too. So when I went out there, I forgot my bluegill rods, and you can see, I want to show you this picture. You can see in this picture, my rod is way too heavy. So the perfect rod, you know, you can also see the tip was a little bit, it wasn't fast enough. You can see where that rod's bending in this picture, and you want to use the whole backbone of your rod. You can see I'm only using half the rod here, and this was on that big gill. So this rod was way too heavy. I'll show you the difference here. So I have that rod right here. So this rod would be more of like a panfish spoon rod, big crappie rod, stuff like that. So you get that little bit of bend in the tip. This is my gill rod right here, and you can see the difference. I hope you can see the difference in the backbone right there. This one is way too heavy for what I was doing, but it's the only rod I have, and it had with me at the time, and it did the job. But this is the rod you want to use. You can see that the backbone of this rod, this is super heavy, and this one is much, much lighter. So you use more of the rod to keep those fish pinned while you're reeling them in. So this is my preferred rod, Radcliffe Custom Rod. Whatever brand you're using, you want to make sure to tailor that rod to the bait, because you want that little, especially for bluegills, you want that little bit of bend in the tip so that you can sense those up bites. And with this tungsten toad, it's an ultra heavy bait. So, well, for its size, it's ultra heavy. So you really get a nice straight line. You can really see those up bites if you have a fast enough tip, so you have enough bend in the tip of that rod while you're just dead sticking it or jigging it, so you can see them come up with it. Next up, we'll go with the location. This location we were fishing, looks like I'm glitching a little, I'll switch over to that. The location we were fishing is something like this. The whole trick to catching these big bluegills is to fish where big bluegills live. So if you get out there and you're catching a bunch of microgills, basically what you need to do is you're most likely too far in the weeds or in the weeds. If you're fishing in the weeds or a little hole in the weeds or something real mucky and real weedy, these bluegills tend to be a little bit smaller, and that's where the microgills and the micro perch hang out. These bigger perch, these bigger bluegills, these bigger crappies, most of the time they're out kind of, they're cruising in the deeper stuff is what they're doing. Cruising for food out there, and they'll come in little, like the gills especially, will come in groups of like 2 or 3, and you'll be able to pick them off as they come in. So what do we got for questions? Like I said, I'm giving away that package tonight, Arneson's Rocky Point, 2 nights lodging, 1 day fishing. You could add to it another day fishing if you wanted to through Arneson's. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do that. Giving that away tonight. It's for 2 guys, so you and your buddy head up to Arneson's for a weekend, have a good time, catch some walleyes. I'll be giving that away to somebody watching. And like I said, I'm also giving away a couple day house rentals to people that watch after. I get so many views after these lives that I want to give something to you guys that are watching after. So Monday morning, I'll do a post or I'll throw something on the stories and I'll contact you. We'll give away a couple day house rentals to people that watch after. And the whole trick to winning is you gotta comment. So make sure you comment. Comment and you can win. So what do we got? Thanks for the spoons. You bet, John. What do we got for questions here? Shoot, guys. I'll answer anything you wanna know. Would the spoons I got for you work for bluegill? Absolutely, Jeremy, they'll work for bluegill. Here's the deal, though. The bluegill have to be in the right mood. Like I said, on this specific day we were out there, I was expecting us just to slam out there because we had a storm front coming in, and that's my favorite time to fish. You know, you watch this weather and you get these warm weather spells like what's happening right now. Ice fishing is going to be prime this next week. Or right before a big front, right as that front is rolling in, that is a phenomenal time to fish panfish, and they are usually just snapping. I think we were maybe just a hair early because I was expecting them to be much, much more aggressive than they were, but they were still biting like crazy, and the tungsten toad did the job for sure. Yes, so anyways, yes, that quiver spoon will catch those bluegills if they're in the right mood, and that quiver spoon that's awesome for crappie too. Super, super good crappie lure. What is my favorite color? Joshua, my favorite color, whatever color they want to eat. I can't answer that for panfish. You know, if I was talking walleyes, I'd be like pink, gold, purple. Those are my go-tos for walleyes, but for panfish, I'm dropping everything in my tackle box down there. You know, on this specific day, I think we actually had this exact lure on right here. It's kind of a chartreuse orange is this one we had on right here. Glow, the glows are great. It really depends on the mood of the fish and what they're eating on that day. So I really tailor it. You know, I watch my electronics and I see how they're reacting with the baits I have down there, and I change according to that. So a lot of times you'll have a bait down there and you'll see these fish, they're coming up and they're just kind of staring at it, and they're just right in front of it, just staring, and that's when you want to start switching colors and switching, you know, maybe bait styles, maybe minnow head, spike, waxhorn, plastic. You know, start switching stuff up until you figure out what they're going to strike on exactly. What's the best colors in different situations? Tim, that's a good question, Tim. Once again, it's, you know, I really rely on my electronics and I watch the mood of these fish to see. You know, I would say definitely on darker overcast days, I'm probably going to go to something a little bit brighter. Or if I am, let's say I'm in some super ultra clear water, I'm going to want something a little more subtle maybe, not with as much pop, so I might go with like more of a neutral tone if it's super clear water. But, you know, it really is all about, you know, the first couple fish that come in, watch those electronics. You'll be able to see if these fish are darting away or if they're hanging out looking at your bait or what they're up to. And that's really the best way to choose what color or bait you're going to use, is just based on the mood of these fish. You're right, I was on the map. Sorry about that. Are waxies preferred bait for bluegills? Yeah, Waxies are a preferred bait for bluegills. I love waxies, and I love spikes, and I love super small, if I have any here, Bobby Garland plastics. Any kind of twister tail, paddle tail, fluke tail, any kind of plastic like that. I don't know if this camera will work or not. Camera will not work. Anyways, Bobby Garland, anything like that. Love the Bobby Garland plastics, and I'll thread these on I'll even put these on my jigging spoon sometimes, but love these on the tungsten toads, any type of Bobby Garland plastic. Bobby Garland's got every kind of plastic you can ever imagine. It's unbelievable. Use direct tie or clip. So for these, Doug, for these tungsten toads, I'm direct tying it. Just for the fact is, you know, I want to dress my knot and I want a super subtle presentation. I don't want that big clip in there. You know, these panfish, they're sight feeders and they're very, you know, particular about what they're eating. So I do eliminate any type of clip or snap or anything directly on my jig during that. And I think 3-pound fluoro is what I was using for line. But no, I direct tied, and a lot of times I like to dress my knot to get that jig to sit exactly how I want it to sit. So no, I do not use any type of clip or snap or anything like that. Red spikes, yeah, I do. I love red spikes. I use red spikes a ton. What else you guys got for question? Do I check the barometer? You know what, John? I should check the barometer, but I don't. I kind of more or less watch the weather patterns, and I know what the barometer does with the different weather patterns, but I do watch the incoming and outgoing weather temperatures, fronts coming in. I watch stuff like that. And if you're gonna go ice fishing this week, I mean, we haven't had weather like this for a few weeks. It's gonna be gorgeous. People are gonna be out on the lake. Do watch for slush. The majority of lakes I fished, I did find slush. I didn't find any game-ending slush. Not to say there's not game-ending slush out there, because I'm sure there is somewhere. But some of the lakes are starting to get a little bit slushy, and you got to watch out for that. You know, we don't have a lot of ice, and we have a lot of snowpack on top of that ice. So there is a for sure slush out there. I found a ton of slush. Pretty much every lake I could find slush somewhere on it. So definitely watch out for slush. Greg, the question I get every single live, what length are those rods and brand? These are Radcliffe custom rods. I've got a variety of different sizes. This one here, 38-inch. This one here, I believe this one must be a 36-inch right here. I've got, yeah. Longer the rod, the better. Like I said before, nice long rod with the proper backbone. In that video, that's not the proper backbone, but you want a nice long rod with the proper backbone so you get a nice bend in that rod and you keep that fish pinned all the way up. The rod is so important. It's so important to keeping those fish pinned on your way up and not losing any fish. But yeah, Radcliffe Customs, longest rod you can get away with, 38, 40-inch, you know, 36 to 40-inch. If you're fishing in a real tight shack or a snow bear or something like that, you might have to go down to 28, 30, 32-inch, something like that if you have to. That'll work too if you got the proper backbone, but I do recommend, you know, the longer the rod, the better for sure. Yeah, correct, Ron. There's different situations. Yeah, if you're using like what is it, like a double surgeon's knot or something like that, loop knot, and you're that style of fishing. Yeah, for sure, you're not dressing your knot or anything like that. You guys got any more questions for me? Go ahead and shoot. I'm gonna log off here shortly. I'm gonna give that fishing trip away before I log off, but log off here shortly. Yeah, and this week it's going to be just phenomenal for panfish this week. It is the week to go fishing. And don't quote me on this, but North Dakota has a free fishing weekend coming up. I don't know the details on that. I should have looked that up before the live, but I didn't. But look that up. I know there is some type of free ice fishing weekend where something with licensing and something like that to get kids out fishing. So definitely check on that if you're from North Dakota. In shallow lakes, do you typically use smaller jigs? No, I don't. You'd actually be surprised, Mark, sometimes how big of jigs I'm using for these little panfish. You know, when these bluegills and these crappies are aggressive, they'll eat, I mean, rattle and flyer, phenomenal crappie jig. All the quiver spoons, good bluegill jigs if they're in the mood. It's all about the mood of these fish, but don't be scared to upsize. If they're slamming that tungsten toad and just hitting it hard, upsize. Use a big jig, big spoon. You will be surprised how big of a jig these panfish will hit. Do you use small hair jigs? I do use small hair jigs. The fuzzy grub, love the fuzzy grub. Use that. I use it a ton in the summer, a lot in the summer, but I do use hair jigs occasionally for sure. Do you do anything special when storing or transporting? Doug, I transport all my stuff in Flambeau containers. This is just, you know, Pro Series tackle bag here is all it is, but I think the biggest key when you're storing your tackle, and we've all done this, you've all had that tackle box that's sitting around and you put it away for the winter and you come back in and suddenly you pull it out and it's just all full of rust. The key here is with the ones I use, this Flambeau container here has Z-Rust built into it, so your tackle will not rust in here. And when you're ice fishing, it can, you know, a lot of moisture. You're in and out of the cold. You might get snow sifting in your sled, in your box, in your bag, stuff like that. It's a wet environment and stuff loves to rust. So that's where I do store all my tackle in Flambeau boxes. 5007 series right here. I store all my tungsten toads in a little Flambeau box like this. This also has Z-Rust in it. So, I mean, this thing can be soaking wet coming back in. I just throw it in the shop, let it dry out, and nothing ever rusts. So that is what I'm storing everything in. Thad, what is your dressing a knot? So basically what I mean by that is I'm just, you know, the knot's super tight on there, right? And I'm just turning it and positioning the knot on a certain point of the eyelet so that the jig sits the way I want. Because if you slide that knot all the way one way, that jig might not sit perfectly horizontal. So if you move that knot, you can get that jig to sit perfectly horizontal, depending on the bait you're using. Every bait is different, but what is the reason for using a minnow head versus the whole thing, Jeremy? I'm going to use a minnow head when it's more of a lethargic bite. Minnow heads are great for those fish that come in and they won't quite commit. Once again, reading my electronics, I get a crappie or a bluegill that comes in and he's just sitting there staring at it, and he's not eating and not eating. I'm dropping different stuff at him. I'll cut that minnow in half and use the head. A lot of times they won't commit to that whole minnow, but they will commit to that minnow head. So a minnow head is definitely something you want to try if they're just sitting there. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this off and I'm going to send somebody to Arneson. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to scroll through these comments, and whoever lands at the top of the comments, they are going to Arneson's Rocky Point. So we'll see where it lands here. I won't look. And who's ever at the top of this when I'm done? A couple little scrolls. All right, and the winner of the 2-night, 1-day Arneson's ice fishing package is Joshua Faller. Joshua, F-A-L-L-E-R. Joshua, you are going to Arneson's Rocky Point fishing. 2 nights, 1 day. You can bring your buddy with you. I will be PMing you after this, and I'll get you all the details. It's like a little gift card thing I'll give you, and I'll send that to you, and you can call Arneson's and book. Arneson's books extremely fast. If any of you guys are thinking about going up there, you really want to get in on booking early with them, because they book up super, super fast. And like I said, for anybody that's watching this after I log off and you still want to win something, I'm going to give away a couple day house rentals on Monday. So anybody from right now, or actually anybody from the beginning of this live until Monday, if you comment, I will draw somebody, 2 people out of a hat, maybe 3 people. We'll give away a few day house rentals for people that watch after. I just get so many views afterwards that I want to do something for you guys also. So once again, I thank you for watching. And yeah, get out fishing this week. Weather couldn't be better to get out and do some fishing, no matter if you're doing bluegill, walleye, anything like that. This is the week. The weather looks phenomenal for the next few days, and I will be heading up to Lake of the Woods tomorrow morning. So that being said, I'm going to log off here, guys. Thank you for watching. Hit me with those questions. If you're out fishing and you have questions, hit me up on my Instagram, my Facebook. I will answer everything I can for you guys to help you catch more fish. I'll see you next time.